Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into my official NFL Week number 18 Upset Alert predictions, where I talk about some teams potentially on upset alert. And guys, let me say before I officially get into this, I do think that Week 18 will be relatively chalky, meaning we're not going to get a ton of upsets due to teams really wanting to finish off the tank strong. A lot of these teams can see the end of the tunnel. There's no reason to win one extra game if it's going to cost you 2 or 3 spots in terms of draft position. And, I'm not saying players are trying to lose games, but certainly front offices are kind of, holding guys out, doing certain things to try and limit their team's chances to win certain games. I think a good example of it is the Indianapolis Colts performance in New York against the Giants, where the game wasn't even close. I mean, they're just getting crushed and it just feels like they're trying to lose. So I think a lot of that is going on, especially in Week 18, but there are certain scenarios where young quarterbacks are playing for their future, like this one. This is the first game of Week 18. We do not have a Thursday night game. We do have 2 Saturday games, and the 4:30 games. The 4:30 game, Jarrett Stidham, unbelievable performance last week. He's got weapons. As far as I know, I don't think the Raiders are holding out, any of their other starters. Obviously, Derek Carr isn't playing, but this is a big game for Jarrett Stidham's future in the NFL to really prove himself in back-to-back weeks. I think he does that. Guys, if you're unfamiliar, the overall line in this game has gone down from 9.5 to 7.5. The Chiefs have a solid defense, but on the road, especially in Vegas, we've seen games go over consistently. I believe the over is 7-1 in Raiders home games, and the over-under for this game has actually been juiced up into the lower 50s. I still think it goes over. This game, Patrick Mahomes, the overwhelming favorite to win the MVP. He's going to lock it up. He's going to throw for 350 and probably 3 touchdowns against this Raiders defense, but I also think the Raiders more healthy on offense. They have weapons and a young quarterback trying to prove himself. They will be in this game. This is a game that's kind of in flux right now. We don't really know what's happening with the number 1 overall seed in the AFC, but we do know the Chiefs have to win this game to have a legitimate chance at the number 1 overall seed and that first round bye that comes with it. So I think this game will be closer, but I still believe the Chiefs win it. Moving to the nightcap, this is the big, battle for the division. It is Tennessee on the road at Jacksonville. And guys, I have a sneaking suspicion that Tennessee's actually going to cover the 6.5 point spread on the road. I still expect the Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence to overall win this game. But I just go back to the idea that Tennessee rested so many of their players. They're going to come in fresh. Yes, they have a bad quarterback situation, but Josh Dobbs, to me, showed a little something against Dallas. It wasn't great, but he was without pretty much everyone. They can move the ball. They can maybe have 1 or 2 really elongated drives. I'm sure you're going to be seeing Derrick Henry with 25 or 30 carries if this game is close and Tennessee isn't playing from a trail position and a negative game script, which I don't think they will be, because I think they'll establish the run early. They have a good defense. Mike Vrabel's a good coach. This will be a closer than expected game. The Jaguars, I was in on them last week at Houston because I said Houston, they're not going to try and win. They want that number 1 overall pick, and the Jaguars easily cover the 4.5 point spread. They blow out Houston on the road. Now they're at home, and I'm actually fading them, going with Tennessee, because I think people are underrating Tennessee even with the bad quarterback situation that they have. So it's going to be a close game. Jacksonville will win it. We will see Trevor Lawrence in the playoffs, but I do think Tennessee covers that spread. Moving to the big-time tank game, Vegas does not know what to do with this one. Indianapolis at home, sitting at 2.5 point favorites against Houston. Houston loses this game. They get the number 1 overall pick. Indianapolis, I believe right now, has the number 4 or number 5 pick, but if they win, it might hurt them a little bit and push them back We know Indy needs a future quarterback, whether it's CJ Stroud, Will Levis, maybe even trading up to try and get Bryce Young. They want to lose. Houston wants to lose. But guys, Houston has been more committed to the tank. We know this. We know Indianapolis is at home, and Jeff Saturday, he's going to want to win. He's old school. I could certainly see a scenario where Indianapolis wins this game and covers the 2.5-point spread. I like Indy. Could you imagine if Houston wins this game and Chicago gets the number 1 overall pick and they have to trade up for it because they won this game? I mean, dude, it's like there is no reason to win this game. It's just going to cost you future picks if you do win it. It's not the end of the world, but I just cannot see a situation where Houston wins this game with the way, I mean, obviously Indianapolis should try and lose too, and I've liked what Indy's done. They've gotten, I mean, look at the last 2 weeks. The Monday night game against the Chargers, I mean, they lost 20-3, and then last week they get crushed by Daniel Jones and the Giants, and Saquon Barkley barely even plays. So they're fully committed. This is a total tank fest, tank off. It'll be interesting to see what happens in that one. Both of those fan bases rooting against their teams. Next, we have the Jets and the Miami Dolphins. A little bit surprised. This is a pick'em. I just think Miami has a way better roster at this point. Also, the Jets with Mike White, the shine kind of wore off a little bit. And I think Miami, even with Teddy Bridgewater, wins this game. They didn't look that horrible against New England, losing by 2 points. So in a pick'em, I do find value on the home team. The Dolphins still, vying for a playoff spot. I don't think they're eliminated. I know the Jets certainly are eliminated. Miami might, be vying for a potential seed late in terms of a wild card. So I just think Miami probably should be like a 3-point favorite. Again, I fully know that Tua Tagovailoa is done for the year. There's just no way the NFL will allow Tua Tagovailoa to come back. So this will be Teddy Bridgewater. Although, you know what, guys? Now that I think about it, I think Teddy Bridgewater got injured. So that, okay, now it makes more sense. Yeah, it makes more sense now. I don't know, guys. Actually, if Teddy Bridgewater seriously is hurt, I might stay away from this game. Now, if Skylar Thompson seriously is starting, because I did see Skylar Thompson, I'm remembering it now. Skylar Thompson came into that game late. So, yeah, I don't know, guys. I hate injuries, honestly. Next, we have the Browns and the Steelers. And guys, the Browns, really nice win last week against the Commanders. They're on the road. It's a divisional game. The Steelers have played so much better. Their defense has been good. Kenny Pickett's getting more experience. I like the Browns to cover in this scenario, but Pittsburgh's still an outside chance to make the playoffs. I will take them to win this game because the Browns are going to be down 20-13. They're going to score a touchdown and then they're going to go for 2 because they've got nothing to lose. They're already eliminated from the playoffs. They're going to go for the win at the end of regulation. They're not going to get it. And Pittsburgh is going to win this game 20-19. Deshaun Watson creating good chemistry there with Amari Cooper. I'm guessing the Browns, there's no reason not to play their starters. But then again, realistically, guys, the thing that you have to start thinking, what's the upside in giving Nick Chubb 25 carries? I know it's the last game of the regular season, the last game of the season. More than likely Chubb's going to be fine, even if he got injured. You really can't think like that. But I don't know the upside in doing things like that, But obviously Deshaun Watson, certainly you want to get him as many reps as possible coming back off of that massive suspension. But I do think the Steelers win this game at home very slightly, but I like the value in the Browns plus the 3. Moving to the 4 o'clock games, it is the LA Rams at Seattle. And I like the Rams with Baker Mayfield really playing for a future in the NFL. The way Cam Akers has played has been really good. Seattle's defense is suspect. I'll take the Rams to cover the 6.5-point spread. I think Seattle wins the game. They still have an outside chance to make the playoffs depending on what happens with Green Bay and Detroit. But you know what? Geno Smith's had a really good year. I can't see them losing this last game. I was in on LA to cover the spread against the Chargers, and that completely blew up, but I did say to take the over, and I believe the over hit, if I remember that correctly. So the Rams kind of been in more higher scoring games. This is a similar one, going to be high scoring, 27-20. Actually, nowadays, guys, 5 years ago, if I would have said a game was 27-24, it's really not high scoring, but nowadays it is, because of the NFL, the lower scores we've seen. The next 425 game, guys, this is it for Russell Wilson. You've got the Chargers traveling, 30-degree weather in Denver. They've already made the playoffs. They're not going to want to get Mike Williams injured. I don't know how much he'll play. I don't know how much Keenan Allen will play. Both of those guys have gotten injured, multiple times this year. The Denver Broncos really need a win for their fan base going into the offseason, possibly with some momentum. They've had such a terrible year. I'm going to throw the Denver Broncos a bone and say they win in a big upset. It's not really a big upset. They're only 3-point favorites, but it's just a situation where I could see the Chargers really pulling the plug on the starters early, and you've got a warm weather team traveling to cold weather, and Denver has no motivation to lose this game considering they don't even own their first round pick. So the Denver Broncos, they need something for their franchise, for their fans. I think they get a nice miracle win at the end of the season. And then we do have the Sunday night game. It is for the playoffs. Green Bay is in a position to where if they win, they are in the playoffs after that horrible start. They're currently 4.5-point favorites. And guys, you're talking about Jared Goff on the road in cold weather. I love Green Bay to win this game. I love them to cover the spread. Aaron Rodgers has been better. They have a really good running backs. They've got a very talented defense. I see Jared Goff probably with multiple turnovers. The Packers really motivated. They've got a lot of momentum right now with their team, and they're going to do the improbable, and I think the NFL is certainly loving the idea of Aaron Rodgers sneaking into the playoffs. They've already got Tom Brady making the playoffs, so they're very happy with some of these bigger quarterbacks showcasing themselves in the playoffs. Either way, I like Green Bay to win this game at home and cover the 4.5-point spread. So guys, again, just the overall week, just some of these teams, I really think they're going to do a good job finishing off the overall tank. Another team I would expect to lose, even though Minnesota has nothing to play for. I don't see any ways Chicago beats them. If Chicago loses, they're guaranteed the number 2 overall pick, or maybe even if Houston beats Indianapolis, which technically could happen, Chicago could get the number 1 overall pick and be looking at a massive haul in a trade, because they're obviously not going to pick number 1 overall if they've got Justin Fields, unless for whatever reason they're not sold on Justin Fields. I would expect them to trade down with someone who wants Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, and they would get multiple first-round picks, multiple second-round picks, and really improve their future. So I don't see any way the Bears win either. That is just an update on that. So guys, those are just some upset scenarios. Really the only upset I'm predicting, I would say, would be the Denver Broncos winning outright over an unmotivated Chargers team going on the road. But guys, that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.